Hello everyone, welcome back to the Mindful Podcast. So thank you for coming on back, whether that's watching on YouTube or that's watching on Spotify. But before we start today, most of you are not subscribed to the channel. We are getting the views and it's showing that people are there loving and supporting us, which we are really grateful for. But about 70% of the people are not subscribed to the channel yet. Don't know what it is on Spotify because we haven't checked, but for YouTube it's definitely around the 70% mark. So if you don't mind, just click on that subscribe button. It helps us ramp up our channel and then it helps us be able to expand, bigger guests. Bigger guests means bigger conversations, better content. So if you don't mind hitting that button, and people think it's subscribing, it's a paid service, it's not, it's completely free. YouTube is odd than just saying subscribe, which I don't get. But that's me, and I'm now going to be introducing our guest, which is Dan Hatton.
Hi there, thanks for having me.
How are you?
I'm not too bad, how are you?
I'm not too bad. After about basically 45 minutes of camera's not working, microphone's going dodgy, and then anything else that's happened.
And me just laughing throughout the whole time, just thinking it was hilarious to watch as well.
God, I can actually feel myself sweating as well, and that's why I'm in shorts as well. But you know what? It is what it is. We went through our zones of regulation.
We have, and you said you were in the yellow zone, but I think we're getting to the green zone, which is really good to see.
I'm getting there now. I'm feeling good. Like you said, we're going to have a good conversation. We're going to talk about things that we like, things that are important, and we're just going to go on from there. But for anyone that doesn't know you, who are you?
So I'm Dan, and so I'm a teacher at a SEN school in Liverpool, and 32, love gaming, love me nerd stuff at the end of the day. Just that if anyone could see my classroom, it is big nerd house at the end of the day. I will embrace the nerdy side of things. But yeah, just really good to be here and everything.
For people that may not know what part of nerdy land you're on, what type of nerdy stuff is it that you're into? Because we can get along really well with our nerd stuff.
Yeah, so it's you've got Marvel, you've got Star Wars, you've got Lord of the Rings, you've got Invincible, you've got Hell of a Boss, Has Been Hotel. You've got all kinds of genres, anything where there is some type of lore or real in-depth information where you've got to read into it more. I absolutely love, and I will read it, even if it's not even a series that I watch a lot of. So Jack Reacher, for instance, I don't really watch the series, but when I found that there was a little bit more in depth in the episodes and the books and everything, I thought, no, I need to find out this hidden information just so I can talk to other people about. Did you know about this as well? So all those types of things. But my go-tos will always be Lord of the Rings and Star Wars for me. Those are my passions at the end of the day and my loves.
What one do you prefer?
Ooh.
I know
this could divide your audience, big star. I would have to say personally Star Wars.
No!
Because Star Wars was one of the first sci-fi films that I ever watched, and it was Empire Strikes Back, and I just remember me nearly bursting into tears when I found out that Darth Vader, spoiler alert, was Luke's dad, and it still gets me to this day. And I know Lord of the Rings is still a heavy passion of mine, as you know from my half marathon run as Gimli. So I know that I am still very passionate about it, but it is a very close tie of Star Wars. Just edges it just a little bit for me. So
I was literally about to say, you done all the walks. For anyone that doesn't know, it was was it an app or a website where you do these certain walks from Rivendell to Mordor?
Yeah, so it was the Conquer Challenge. So you signed up, it was about £100 or something for 5 medals, and you started at the Shire. So you walked from the Shire to Bree Town, and then you got this medal which had the little the one ring on it and the medal, and then you went from Bree to Rivendell, then Rivendell to Moria, then all of Moria, then Moria to Amon Hen, and then Amon Hen to Mordor. And it was it's a long trek. It took me a good couple of months, so I don't know why everyone was saying use the Eagles, because it was quite easy to walk it most of the time, especially in our job anyway. You just walk left, right and centre.
Yeah, it's fair enough. And obviously because of the type of podcast that we are, and I know I'm really bad for rambling on and getting sucked into conversations, we'll kind of dive into it. Why we're here, bring back the nerdy stuff, I'm just bringing it all. So,
absolutely.
First of all, why was you doing all of them walks?
I think for me personally, I I needed to, for my mental health anyway, I think it's always good to make sure that you've got interests, but also try to increase those interests into other areas. So obviously, as I said, big nerd, but I wanted to make sure that I wasn't just sitting on the couch and just doing nothing at times. And I felt like, especially for my health, I wanted to make sure that I was, getting as much exercise as I could. And this was like a really nice niche way of like combining the two of like either running or walking or swimming or cycling. You could just load up on your app and it'll connect to your Fitbit and it'll link in. And for me, it was the achievement of it being able to accomplish something, because one, I knew I was going to get a medal at the end of it, so a nice little reward system there. But it was also, for me, it was also seeing a community as well, because on the app you saw different people like trying to support each other. There was all kinds of people like giving their stories of why they were doing the challenge. It could have been through they were raising money for someone, or they just thought they just needed to get out more ever since the pandemic. They felt like we need a bit more fresh air. We feel like we've not had that much time to explore other areas. Some people were saying that it was a New Year's resolution for him. It was quite good to see that everyone had like a goal in mind, but everyone was so supportive of one another on it. So if you had put down that you had struggled and you were like, for instance, there was this one person who said that they really struggled with, after the pandemic, they were quite scared to go out of their own home. They saw that there was this app. They loved Lord of the Rings. So they said, I'm going to try and do it. And there was at least, 1,000 comments just basically to this one person saying, go for it, keep us up to date. And obviously it would ping like your, not your location, but like how far you've done so far. And every time you just see like a big round of applause from all the comments just saying, go out, do it, because it was just really good to see at the end of the day. So that as well was another thing, because I think you need to have those times of when people will give you that support. And I think it's quite difficult now to see a lot of people who don't just say, you know what, well done for doing something that you really enjoy doing. It's quite sad at the same time, but at the same time it was great that they were so supportive, and it's people that you never meet or you had walked past the street and you hadn't even noticed, and yet they were just sending that little message, and maybe that little message was the thing that people needed to go, you know what, I've had a really good day. Someone's actually told me I've done really well today, and that's what I needed. So
it's amazing, is it, the little things like that, where it can make someone's day. A little comment from a stranger, and it can literally crack on in the best way possible for you to keep going, to make new strides or whatever it is that they're going for.
And you know what? It's like it doesn't even have to be like the biggest comment in the world. Just even a nice one or thanks very much. Like, and I think those like little things, like a lot of people take for granted, but for people who like have like those times of like where they've struggled with either anxiety, depression, sometimes when they get like you're doing all right, you're doing okay or something, that means the world to us. Like for me, it's like if I get told, you know what, you've done a good job, it's like I'm nearly like a puddle at that point, because I'm like, that's actually really nice to know that I'm doing okay. So those, like as you say, those like little things, even from a stranger, can be the make or break for a lot of people, and that's why I'm always as positive as I can be at the end of the day.
That's very, very true. You're a bit too positive sometimes, I'm not gonna lie.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I know. But how long ago was that? That was about 2 years, a year ago?
About 2 years ago, or a year and a half ago, that I started doing it, Yeah,
because you're still doing, oh my God, still doing a massive amount of walking, aren't you?
Yeah.
So
I walked here
today.
Yeah, I walked here today. I for me personally, it's like, one, I can't drive, so obviously I'm limited to public transport. Sometimes the buses are just like next to no chance of like where you're going to get from A to B. But since like where we live is like everything's like quite close by, I've kind of just got into the routine of, I'll just walk it. And a lot of times I do have a lot of people like looking at me going, you've just walked that whole distance. And I'm like, yeah, was I not meant to? Was I meant to get the bus or something? And for me personally, like it does do wonders just having that little walk to yourself. Like, it's like when I was walking here, it's like, it wasn't the best of weather, but it wasn't lashing it down. It wasn't cold or windy. It was just a calm, bit dull, but not to the point of where you're thinking, oh, I can't go out now and everything. I'm not the crazy one where if it's the thunder, lightning storm that I go, oh yeah, I'll go outside and I'll, do a quick 5K walk and everything in this weather. But no, I always try to get like as much fresh air as I can, as much as I can.
But you're saying about like the thunder and lightning. Have you ever heard about the quote that Billy Connolly said about weather?
No, go on.
No, there's no such thing as bad weather, just the wrong clothing.
Yeah, that's true.
So keep on, mad.
I should know that as being like I used to be a scout leader, and it should be always be prepared. I should know that more, that quote more so than I should. But no, I agree with that. I think there are times when like you've got to have like that attitude to just be able to go out and everything and just enjoy it at the end of the day and just take that moment every time that you get.
That it is so true though. We're too cushy to just stay in the house. That's all what it is. Like, for instance, so for us two, we're both nerds and we could sit there, we can watch Netflix, we go on Disney. Why did I say Disney like that? Disney, we can go on to PlayStations or whatever, Xboxes, jump on the laptop, we can go and do like all nerdy stuff, but there's literally nothing that can really stop you from going outside and going on a nice walk, a run, which I won't be doing, a bike ride or whatever it is. But we just see a bit of dull weather, like, to be honest, I'm guilty of it at the minute, like with the dog. It could be a bit dull outside. I think, no, like I'm not really feeling that walk today. But in my head, I was like, well, it's for the dog. It's not for me. I've got to take him out.
And I think like as like with anyone that's got like dogs in particular, dogs like kind of almost sense it as well. It's almost like they're trying to get you to go on the walk as well. It's not like, do you want to go on a walk? It's usually the dog saying you need to go on a walk and everything. Like, so that's why they'll hold the lead in their mouth or something and just be like, no, come on, you're taking me out. At least, come on.
That while I'm sitting there eating angel slices. Come on, like, don't burn them off. But on previous episodes, I've mentioned about when COVID happened, so when we were all starting to go outside, I was a massive walker. For a long time. This is when I was trying to lose weight, but go and walk 15 miles in one day and just go walking, Crocky Park, laps and laps and laps. That done me the world of good. But for you, if you could put into words of like what the type of like, it's an exercise, what that exercise does for you, what do you reckon?
I think it wasn't just an exercise for me, it was like a complete change in my type of lifestyle. I'd say before the pandemic and before everything the last few years, I was a hermit at the end of the day. I won't even shy away from that. I was the one who would like, I'd sit on the couch, I'd, stick Netflix on, stick Disney Plus on, stick the Xbox, whatever I had available to me. You wouldn't hear from me for about 6-7 hours, and I would message people every so often, like saying, yeah, I'm still here, like, but I wasn't like overly keen of like when people would say, oh, do you want to go out, or do you want to do this, do you want to do this? And I'd be like, well, I'm comfy on the couch and I've found the perfect position for me, so I don't want to move, and I've got all my snacks next to me, so it's really good that I'm like comfy. But like after the pandemic and everything, it was kind of like, it was almost like a wake-up call for me as well. It was like, no, you need to start like going out more. You need to start like trying to, stick with your friends more. Like, you need to be closer with them, not just WhatsApping them. Like, you can WhatsApp anyone whenever you want, but actually having face-to-face interactions with people and like, getting to know their interests, getting them to know your interests. And that type of thing for me was like the big thing for me of like, actually become a bit more sociable, like, go out and enjoy a bit more time, get to talk to people and listen to their stories as well. It was always like really interesting for me as well. But yeah, so I'd say it wasn't just exercise for me. It was like, get almost like a kick up the arse type thing of like, get out now and like start actually living at the end of the day.
I just find it so mad that, not what you just said, but I find it so mad how little people really get outside. Like, I know you can walk out in the streets and you'll see thousands of people, but a lot of people see it as like a chore. A lot of people see it as like you have to do it. But it's like, not in the sense of you have to do it, like you have to do it by law. But it's like, oh, I've got to get up and I've got to go out. It should just be like a normal thing. It
should be where you turn around and you go, right, it's the weekend, you're either on holiday or something, and you go, you know what, I just want to get a bit of fresh air, like, because if you're working an office job or if you're working somewhere where you're doing 12-hour shifts or whatever, you need that like time to yourself. Like, and I think some people like don't like having time to themselves. Like, they want to be either with loads of people in the house and like just stayed in their own area, which is absolutely fine. But I think also like you need to get outside more. You need to be able to like enjoy, like, you know, like obviously I've got Sefton Park right outside mine. It's being able to like go outside and, you know, get yourself a coffee outside rather than making yourself a coffee. Treat yourself to a £2 coffee in Sefton Park or something, just to get that fresh air. And you never know what's going to happen like when you go out, because, you know, I've done like a bit of volunteering in Sefton Park, like to help with the clean-up and everything, and you meet some really amazing people at the end of the day. And if you stay at home, you're never going to experience those true like events type thing. But then you're never going to also have those moments where you can turn back and everybody say, oh, have you got a fun story? Well, yeah, I sat on my couch most of the time and played on the Xbox. That was a really fun time for me. Whereas if you said, oh no, I went to Sefton Park, there was a big group of dogs that were out and about, and one of them decided to just jump in the lake at the end of the day, and they came back and it just like, you know, cleared everyone out and everything. Those types of moments are like the stories that you want to say, not, oh yeah, I was just staying at home most of my weekends and yeah, used my slow cooker for the first time. It's great. It's like you need those more engaging stories, I think, as well.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that one. Actually, the story's actually made me a bit happier, and I'm not going to lie. When you say that you was a hermit, where do you think you would be today if you stayed a hermit?
I think, in all honesty, I'd probably end up being homeless at the end of the day, because, like, if I didn't get out and about, I wouldn't have pursued like me teaching career. I would have been sticking with either working in either a care home or working in an Amazon warehouse, and it wasn't pushing me at the end of the day. It wasn't giving me any drive. It was like, you know, you'd work in the Amazon, you'd be working, I don't know, 7 p.m. till 7 a.m. and, you know, you're just packing boxes, and it was a good job, like, if you want to make that quick turnaround of money. But for me, like, it wasn't pushing me, and since like there were those days where you turn around, you go like, oh, I can't be bothered going into work, and when you start getting in that mindset, then it becomes dangerous. So if I was like, you know, if I was staying as a hermit, I think at that point I'd be like, well, I don't really want to go into work now, and then obviously we all need a job at the end of the day, and I don't think I'd be able to afford me rent at the end of the day. So it would be a few years, it would be, yeah, probably looking at finding like couch crashing on a lot of friends' couches at the end of the day, just to try and keep on going. So I'd say, yeah, like that was me if I was sticking to being a hermit at the end of the day. As much as I love the term hermit.
I've just got an image in my head that you turn up at people's houses, just a little tiny bag with your stuff in. Have you got a free couch with your Xbox?
Full on Gandalf beard at that point as well, like just to really emphasise, like, I need somewhere to stay, please.
You can't make any Lord of the Rings references throughout this because you've said Star Wars.
Find you like a faith disturbing on that, but.
Yeah. I was just gonna ask. Sorry.
Go ahead.
So, like, where you were saying your day-to-day, like motivation, and you were being like a bit of a ham. Do you think that's down to like a lack of motivation to want to better yourself, or do you think it's like discipline?
Oh
so
yeah. I think for me it was a bit of lack of motivation. Like I hadn't really pushed myself for a while, and part of me was just like, do I want to do that? Well, that sounds like a lot of effort. Like, is it gonna get me any benefits, like in the short run? Because especially, I think motivation, you've got to see long-term results. You can't just see the short-term effects of it. And for me, I was always like, well, if it's not going to affect me, if I go to the gym now, I'm going to be sore in the evening. Do I really want to be sore in the evening tonight? Not really. But if I stay on the couch, I'm going to be okay. I won't need to worry about pains or stitches or anything. So I was a very short-term minded person as well, I'd say. It was like, this is what I want to do for today, and we'll see the results afterwards.
So you wasn't really planning for any kind of future? You wasn't thinking beyond the day after day?
Yeah, I think there was a time in my life where it was just the day after day. It's like, you know, you'd want to go from one day to the other, and then, you know, whatever happened on that day, it happened on that day, and you just move on from there. Like, so motivation-wise, I think it was for me motivation. But I think that links in with the discipline of, like, if you have got those long-term goals, you've got to be disciplined to be able to achieve those. Because if you're not, then you could have the best motivation in the world. You could have everyone around you, like, giving you the best support. But if you're turning around going, right, well, they want me to be in the gym at 6, but I'll get there for about 7.
Yeah.
Your discipline's gonna be the thing that's gonna push you further, I think.
So what changed then? So one day you sort of seen the long-term benefits of it. Do you know what I mean? Was it something changed for you to go, I've had enough of this, let me go and change?
It's heartbreaking, but it was mainly because when I lost me best mate, and basically like it was a lot of day-to-day stuff with me and Tom, and you know, he'd be the one that was always pushing me to like go to the gym. Like we went to the gym nearly not every day, like, because I was the first one to say absolutely not, I'm not going to the gym every day. But he was like he was the discipline and he was the motivation. He'd be the one that's blaring out Celine Dion songs in his car at 6 a.m. in the morning to wake you up for leg day, and you're just there going, get me back into bed, please.
He was the one with the energy.
Oh, he had the energy for both me and him and about 4 other people. Like, he had so much energy about him. And when he passed away, it was it still is, like, even though it's been 4 years now, but like, it still hits me to this day. It's like, I don't see anyone replacing him as my best mate. Like, if anyone says, who's your best mate, I would say Tom. Tom's my best mate. Like, that's an end of. But when he passed, that was kind of a wake-up call for me, in a sense of, I nearly lost the friendship because, like, of X, Y, and Z of different things. And again, sometimes it was me cancelling plans of, like, saying, like, oh, couldn't be bothered doing this and everything. And one of the last WhatsApp messages I've got from Tom is when he's like saying, oh, when do you start your new job in teaching and everything, or when you start at your new school? And I'm saying, oh, I'm starting in like a couple of weeks and everything, and you know, and he's like, oh, well, listen, let's set up a gaming day and everything, and let's get started. And that was the last message that I got from him. And it still breaks my heart to this day, because it's like, that was the day where I could have been like, nah, do you want to go out or something? Do you want to go and celebrate? And I didn't take that opportunity. And for me, it's like, it's still a weight on my shoulders, and I don't think that weight's going to go anytime soon. But he was, if anyone was like going to be my motivator, like the big push guy, it was him, and it still is him. Like, it's like, even now, I kind of like anything like where if there's a opportunity to go out and be social with people, I always say, you know, what would Tom do in this situation? And 9 times out of 10, it's like, get out there and have a good laugh. And I think I'd like to think that I've been like, you know, really positive and like, you know, being really more social. And like, I think Louis can attest if I've been very social and like social gatherings and everything. But if that hadn't happened, I think I'd still be quite introverted. Like, I wouldn't want to be going out, but because of that, it's like made me realize I want to make time for people, and I want to make sure I'm there for people, because he was there for me at the end of the day.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, so
would you agree, like, it kind of at that fire going inside you, that's your motivation to kind of keep maybe not like his spirit on, but kind of like that is your burning motivation that gets you out and going?
I think for me personally, it's like Tom was just a massive wind up to me. Like, he wound me up like there was no tomorrow. Like, and you know, it like there were times when, say, if we finished the gym, and he'd turn around and he'd go, "Do you fancy a Mackey's? Fancy a Mackey's breakfast after that?" And I'd be like, yeah, can do if you want. Like, he'd then go to his partner and say, "Oh, you know, Dan, yeah, he told me I had to go to Mackey's first, so I had to get him a Mackey's breakfast. He told me not to get you anything either." And I'm like, they're going, "What the hell?" So I'm just there, like, sitting there, just like with egg on my face at that point. And me and his partner Rachel were like, I can't thank her enough as well, because like she is like a really close friend now as well. But yeah, she like the amount of wind ups that would happen, and I think for me, his wind up and his sense of humor was so in tune with mine. Like, it is like, that is the fire for me. It's like, how could we wind up Dan more, get him to go on more socials, like to the point of where he's going to be like trying to get center stage, try and get onto the karaoke machine, Dan, because you know you're going to do this. Oh yeah, and you've got to push yourself but I always turn around and it's like, I probably look like the biggest idiot right now, but you know what? I love it.
Sometimes it's them uncomfortable situations where you grow the most, and and then you look back and go, I was even scared of that.
Yeah, it's like the best one's got to be there was a karaoke night, and I remember he was singing Robbie Williams' Rock DJ, and he's going on it like full pelt and everything. He's got everyone singing with him and everything. And I go on and I'm just there going, oh, I'm just coming up with it can either be classed as the most depressing song to sing, or it's the very obvious choice for karaoke, Mr. Brightside. So I go on and we're both like laughing at each other at the end of the day, because he's just looking at me going, why'd you sing that? And I'm like there going, well, why did you sing that in the day? Like, but we did 100%. And as I say, it's like, even now it's like, it's so much joy you get just thinking of those happy moments at the end of the day. They're the things that keep me going at the end of the day, and they're the things that drive me.
Yeah. Because you being a ham, and obviously you miss out on moments or whatever with whoever that is, but then you look back at the moments like with complete joy, and now you can see that them moments are what you can actually remember, and not sitting on the couch and playing the games.
And that's the thing, and I think, like, because trust me, there were times when we do some Xbox Live gaming, and they're the funniest moments ever that we have as well. But it was the moments where we got to see each other and we actually spent time with each other. It's like when he got me to help join with him on like playing some five-a-side football, and if anyone's seen me play football, it's like I've got 2 left feet at the end of the day. But it was just a good laugh to be there with him. And he was there when I did my first charity boxing match, and he's the one that's shouting the most ridiculous things to say, like things that you'd hear in a WWE match at the end of the day, and he's chanting it. And I like those moments for me are like the things that, you know, still bring me like the biggest smile on my face, because like, as I say, it was just, if that was like where I was like still being a hermit and I don't feel like going out, I don't feel like doing this charity boxing match, I don't feel like going to the gym, I wouldn't have those moments. And that for me would be more upsetting, because then when he did pass away, I wouldn't be as hurt and upset, because it would be like, well, I didn't know him, but I did know him now. So it's like, I knew that, like, you know, he loved everyone that he met. He was so energetic. He was so caring at the end of the day. He just wanted everyone to have a laugh with. There was never a time where I saw him like angry or against someone. He'd obviously have his like moments where he'd talk to you like, you know, mate, shouldn't have done that. Like, but he cared about you, and that was the thing that I needed, and he did care about me, and I cared about him. So.
Do you reckon that you could be someone's Tom?
I wish if anyone turned around to me now and said, "You're like Tom" to me, I think I'd break down. Like, because he did so much for me in my life of the 18 years that we were friends, and the fact that we went quiet for a few years and then we came back, and he was just so supportive. You know, we got to be back to being friends. Like, we hadn't talked to each other like for a couple of days, and it'd been 3 or 4 years, and we just gelled straight away. So if anyone turned around to me and said, "Oh, you're like Tom to me," I don't know how I could respond to that. Like, I'd love that, you know, and I want to be like that for someone, because the way that made me feel was just amazing. And that's...
Yeah, because we both work in the school together, and obviously we've got our own classes, we've got kids that we come past and every day, and obviously I see one of yours all the time. But it's environments like that where we could be someone's Tom. And
I think that's the crucial thing. It's like, in our work, it's like you've got to be able to talk to them and not just say, you know, we're going to learn about this. It's being able to give them that experience and that knowledge, and just being there for them. They may be having the worst day ever, and it could be something so mundane. It could be something that we may look at as adults and might go, that's nothing compared to, but for them it could be the most traumatic or heartbreaking thing ever. And sometimes you just need to say to them, "You okay?" Like, you know, you're doing a good job right now. Like, you know, you're not getting angry. That's good, and that's the crucial thing, and that is always my approach in my classroom. Like, it's always making sure that we don't get to that point of like crisis or, you know, upset. It's making them know that it is a safe place. You can talk to us. You can ask for help if you need it at the end of the day. And I know my approach is similar to your approach in that sense. Like, we want to be there to support them. You know, we can be pally all we want, but sometimes we'll have to be those adults and say, well, we need to do this. But there's nothing wrong with saying to someone, you're doing a good job. Like, you know, let's keep on getting this right. Let's keep on like finding a new way for you to feel better. And as I say, it's like, you know, as teachers, you get the sleepless nights of thinking, right, how can we make this person's day better? But I thrive off that because I want to make the day better for that person at the end of the day.
Because there's quite a few kids that I've worked with like over the years and still work with to this day. And the amount of times they've said they wanted you as their teacher. Me as their TA as well, so we both come as a package.
I mean, if we can do a little shout out and make sure we get that team sorted, that'd be great. But yeah, it's like, as much as that, it's like, it's always the thing though, I feel like they always think the grass is greener. They see me like obviously with the pupils that we've worked with, they'll probably just see me like when I've gone passing, and I will make time and conversation for them. But sometimes, as I say, like you know, they might be thinking, oh, he must be that really chilled and everything, and like, well, yeah, it's different. If you're in my classroom, you've got to still do work and everything. We've still got to get you to where you need to be. But yeah, it is quite nice. Every so often, I have heard like a couple of the kids saying, "Oh, can I be in your class next year?" And it's like, I don't have that power, but thank you for telling me that. Thank you.
It is true though, and like it just goes to show for a long way that people want you in their life. They want you to be that adult that's guarding them. So I think from what we've just spoke about Tom, and then even you saying if someone said I was like Tom one day, you would basically break down about it.
Yeah,
you're on your way there. I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, as I say, it's heartwarming to know that like there are people there that say that, because as I say, it is like one of those things where I'm like, that's like my be all. Like, you know, if I could be there for someone who turns around and goes like, as we said, like I'm making it almost like a trend, like be like Tom. At the end of the day, he'd probably kick me for saying it like that, but he like if anyone told me that, I'd as I say, I'd break down as well. I would be so happy because that changes someone's life at the end of the day.
That's what we're there for. I saw you in the corner of the eye, like waiting to go in for a question. Like,
you know what? I do apologise. I'm just really maybe interested to hear a little bit more about Tom.
Yeah.
I was just gonna ask, like, how in a positive way, like, how have you like reacted to it since it all happened? Like, how long ago was it when Tom passed?
So it's coming up to 4 years now. He passed away in October and of 2020. So that was when obviously like the pandemic was almost like in full swing as well. So there was a lot of outdoor barbecues at his place, because it was during the time when the rules were you can have an outdoor barbecue, you just can't go in the house. So fortunately, where his house was situated, you could go either around the back, or you just made sure that no one was in the house and you like zipped across into the back garden. But he was always like the one who was like keeping morale high. Like, anyone who speaks of Tom from any friendship group that I've energy, excitement, you know, just, and he was genuine with you. He wouldn't like sugarcoat anything, because he would just bring that energy to bring the sugar to it. Like, you know, he would make it so positive and happy for everyone. Like, and you know, it was such a good laugh at the end of the day, and his wedding was like one of the best moments as well, because again, he was just so energetic, and it was so lovely to see as well. And yeah, he like literally he's a person that you could have went into a pub with, and after the first pint you would have been singing.
Best pallies,
You would have been singing karaoke with him by the end of it, or you would have been trying to do like any drinking challenge with him because he just loved making friends and he loved socializing.
Would you say he's had a really positive impact on your life?
Yeah.
Now.
Oh
Do you
yeah,
know what I
like
mean?
I think even to this day, like I think anyone who knows me knows that I speak of Tom in regards as like a brother. Like he is like my similar, like very like twin almost in the sense of like just engagement and excitement that we had, and no, like anyone, as I say, even my partner, she's had to like, you know, calm me down at times of like saying like, you know, it's all right, everything's okay, and I'm like, I know, I just miss him at the time, and that's the thing. It's like, you know, it's like I always like have my phone on handy. It's like I've even got his WhatsApp still pinned on me thing, and you know, there was one moment when my partner Alice, she turned around and she just went, "You're waiting for him to reply, aren't you?" And I'm like
grieving.
Yeah, and still, and you know, if people still think I'm still grieving, I'd probably be like, yeah, still am, and you know, it's been difficult, but like his partner Rach, she did a load of fundraising events. She did all kinds, and I put a Facebook quote like a couple of weeks ago, and it was just literally, you'd be so proud, because she had raised like nearly, I can't even remember how much she raised, but it was like £27,000 for sudden cardiac arrest, and basically she's done that over the last few years, and that was her way of like showing how much she cared for him, and she adored that man. Like anyone who tried to dispute that, like you'd have me and you'd have everyone turning around and saying absolutely not. She absolutely adored that man. But he would, as I say, he was just an open book with everyone. He would literally wake up in the morning and he'd be able to message about 15 people within the space of like a minute, and making sure what are you doing? We're going to the gym tonight. We're doing the gym this morning, or like, you know, are we still up for doing this barbecue? And he was in so many friendship groups that he brought a few friendship groups together.
Yeah.
And that was the thing. Like I think, like, because I met some of his workmates from the football side. I've met some of his like family mates again when we've seen events, you know, and he just brought everyone together, and you could see it like more and more, like when it was either house parties or when it was anything really. It was just, he would be able to just get used to go or sit in the room, and he'd be like, all right, this is Dan, this is Joe, here's a drink, have some fun, there you go.
I say you've given me goosebumps because it's the topic, but how important would you say like a Tom is in like a friendship? Say everybody kind of needs a Tom.
I mean, like, if everyone in the world had a Tom, I think, like, you know, you'd have so many less issues in the world. I honestly think that, like, because he was the person who just turned around and go, right, let's try and make, this is a bad situation, and he'd say, this is a bad situation, but he'd then turn around and he'd go, right, okay, well, what can we do to make this a little bit better for everyone? And
solution kind of
he'd always try to find the solution. Sometimes that solution would go flat in his face, and it'd like be like, that didn't work. But
give it a go.
he still kept trying. He didn't turn around and be like, I'm not doing that again. I'm not doing this. And for me, like, if everyone had a Tom, and if that person was being a Tom to them, I'm not even sure. Like, I think there would be less like hatred in the world. Like, there would literally be like, you know, there wouldn't be any like animosity. There wouldn't be like, you know, oh, I don't like that guy and everything, because you'd have that person to confide in and say, I wasn't a fan of this person. Don't worry about it. Let's just go to the pub, or let's go to the gym. Let's just have a laugh. Let's go on the Xbox. Just do whatever. And I think that for me is like, if everyone had a Tom, like, so much better place at the end of the day.
And there's probably people listening to this or watching this right now that are thinking either, I'm the Tom of the group,
And you know,
or I should start being more of a Tom.
And I can't thank those people enough. Even though I will probably never meet them in life, I would never turn around and say, I just want to say thank you to them, because they're the people that are helping the Dans in the group where they're struggling either to be hermits or they're struggling to just even get out and about or try to make friends. And then you've got those people who are turning around going, no, I want to help you. I want to do something to help you at the end of the day. And that was, so thank you to all those Toms.
I just reckon that you are slowly and surely becoming a Tom now. Like what I've seen work. I've known you for just over 2 years now.
Yeah.
2 years,
3.
2 years, 1 month.
Yeah,
Well,
2 years.
no, I met you in January 22 when I came back.
Yeah, you did. You did.
Yeah, 2 years, 1 month I've known you for.
Yeah.
But speaking about that time, obviously coming away from the conversation, I think we just had like a good half an hour on that.
I know, you know, you'd keep it going.
There was a big significant moment in your life, wasn't there?
Yeah.
That happened and where
Mm.
you had a brain hemorrhage.
Yep.
For anyone who doesn't know what a brain hemorrhage is, and I've got it wrote down here, because I have to do a bit of research myself. What is it?
A subarachnoid hemorrhage.
That's a tongue twister. A subarachnoid brain hemorrhage.
Mm.
It means that there's a bleeding on the brain, bleeding in the space that surrounds the brain. And it's a life-threatening medical emergency that usually occurs in people over 40 years of age, and is usually presented as the worst headache of your life.
Yep.
It can come down to symptoms such as a severe headache, unlike anything you've ever experienced before,
Mm-hmm.
stiff neck, feeling and being sick, sensitivity to light, photophobia, blurred or double vision, and stroke-like symptoms such as slurred speech and weakness on one side of the body, or loss of consciousness.
Yep.
To put into perspective, you're not 40.
No.
And this happened about, what, just over 18 months ago?
We're actually coming up now to the 2-year mark because I've got one of my last MRI scans because you get 2 years where you're still at risk of having a brain aneurysm, like in this 2-year time frame. So we're actually coming to the 2-year mark in about 3 weeks, 4 weeks, where it's been 2 years since it happened and everything. And yeah, this is say that it was a life-changing event. Again, it was like, as I say, listen to all the symptoms. I'm just there going, I experienced that, experienced that, experienced that, experienced that. Didn't experience that one though, unfortunately. But like there was like, as you said, it was a scary moment, especially when you're only 30 years old, and everyone's like thinking you're meant to have it. Like, you know, you've got more of a chance of getting it when you're 40, and I'm there going, yeah, I got it at 30. And it does put things into perspective at the end of the day. And that thing...
Through your own words, to give people more of an insight of what that would actually be like through your eyes. Do you mind taking us through it?
Yeah,
of
so...
Like maybe the build-up to it?
Yeah, so what happened was I'd woken up as normal, like, you know, early hours. And obviously I was feeling a bit groggy, but we were middle of term time. You know, I was dealing with, like, you know, a lot of like the work stresses, and I just thought, right, shake it off, right, just get into work, get started on the day. So I get picked up by one of my close friends, and she gets us into work. She notices as well that I'm a bit like a little bit all over the place. I then see another work colleague who's just signing in. He's looking at me and he's going, Dan, you're looking a bit grey, like not being funny. And I'm just there going, no, I'm fine. I'm just tired and stressed and, you know, just me in general in the morning. I'm not a morning person. So again, I get to my desk, I log in, and all of a sudden I'm like feeling like this. It's almost like, I don't know, the best way to describe it is, you know, when everyone does like that sound test and they say like, you know, like high pitched sound just gets higher and higher and higher and higher to the point of where it's like you can't hear it.
Yeah.
It was almost like there was like that slow build up of like the low sound and it was like, and I could feel like this pain in my head, and I'm like just going, right, I need to get some paracetamol. So I thought, I'm going to be lazy. I'll just call one of the other teachers who's in the other classroom next door, and I just call her and say, have you got any paracetamol? And she goes, yeah, I'll be over in 2 minutes. I can't recall anything after that. Like, I just remember there was a lot of pain in my head. And I literally came to a little bit when I was in the back of the ambulance, and I was just like, what's going on? Like, what's happening here? And apparently what had happened was my friend had found me unconscious at my desk, like head like completely gone. I was just groaning and like I was just limp. Paramedics were called. I was apparently being a little bit responsive, but they had to get me to the Royal. The Royal gave me like a once over and thought, oh, he's just got a bit of a headache and everything. So, but my dad was the first one who turned around and said, no, Dan, you're looking grey. Like, you need to be seen again. Like, I'm not letting this go. So we went to my GP. GP took again. They took my blood pressure and it was like skyrocket, like far too high for me. Anyway, he got in contact with the Royal as well and said, no, he needs to be taken to have a CT scan as soon as. The CT scan showed nothing at that time, but then they did a lumbar puncture. Now, for people who don't know what a lumbar puncture is, it's when they've got to get a needle in between, like, your vertebrae in the spine, and it's like to get a bit of like the fluid. And I got the layman term because I'm there going, why do you need to stick a needle in the back of me? Like, and they were like, so if your fluid comes clear, that's a good sign because you're meant to have clear spinal fluid. If there's traces of blood, then there's possible signs that you've had a hemorrhage. Apparently my vial was just blood. And I was just like, what? And like, so I got rushed to the Walton Centre, and straight away the Walton Centre, I can't thank them enough. Like, they were amazing. But they said, yeah, you've tested positive for having a subarachnoid hemorrhage. So we need to have a CTA scan. We need to check to make sure you've not got any aneurysms in your brain still, for starters. We need to also check if there's any aneurysms in anywhere of your body, because it might have been in the brain, but it could be anywhere in your body. So I was bed bound for like about a week, 2 weeks in Walton Centre. Couldn't really move. I felt like I had no muscle strength in my body. Like, I couldn't even like lift my head up. My neck, as it says, the neck was just so sore. And they just turned around and said, you're part of the 4% of people we actually don't know what triggered it. And that was like a bit of a thing of where I was like, what do you mean? And I said, oh, because usually we can ascertain of like, you know, what caused it and everything, but you're part of the 4% where we actually don't know. And I was like, oh my days. Like, and then it's like when I found out a bit more about what is a subarachnoid, they said it's a 1 in 3 chance of like one of 3 things can happen, and it was one of them was you die. I could have just been found on my desk dead. The other was I could have had a serious brain injury, to which it might have been I wouldn't be able to talk, walk, whatever. It could have been anything, or I come out as I did, and my God, I was fortunate. Like, you know, when I got that, and they were saying like, you are so fortunate. But the first 6 months were like probably the hardest 6 months of my life, because I was not in work for about 3 months or so, 3-4 months. I went back in to do only half days, but I was getting so exhausted from getting changed into work clothes, or, you know, again, it was almost like the hermit in me was like saying like, you know, don't go out. You know, you're gonna struggle just to walk to like one place to the other. And for me, it was like, it was scary, because I honestly thought like, you know, this is not how I want it to be, where my life's now, where I'm struggling now for my own health. And fortunately, I had a load of people there that was really supportive at the end of the day. Like, I had loads of work colleague friends who came to visit, and you were one of them, which was absolutely amazing when we were able to go for that coffee and everything, because even though I was having to be on the decaf stuff, and that was, again, that 6 months where they told me, like, you can't have caffeine, you can't have cheese, you can't have chocolate, you can't have red meat, you can't have... It was basically rabbit food. Like, you only... And, like, you can have a bit of decaf every now and then, so... Those moments where I was like, if anyone said, oh, do you want to go to Pressbros or somewhere like that, like, you know, get a coffee, it'd be great. Like, I'd be over the moon. Take me ages to get there, even though I lived like round the corner. It took me a while to get there, but having those people around you, it helped me so much, because, again, it was pushing me to be like, no, I can't stay in, because if I stay in, this will be my life. I'll be waking up, looking at my flat roof and just going... All right, okay, this is my life now, just seeing that. So for me, strength-wise, I needed to push myself to rebuild my strength at the end of the day. And it's still not where it is now, even to this day. It's like right side of the body's like so much weaker than the left side. And as I say, it's like I've got another MRI coming up. Hopefully good news. We're not sure. But that type of stuff does, like, as you say, is life changing. And again, that was almost like a big wake up call for me, because again, it was like, you could have died, Dan. Like, and you don't want to think that at like 30 years old. You want to think, I've still got my life ahead. Got to look at, you know, getting married, having a family and everything. That's what the goal is. And then all of a sudden it was like, yeah, you nearly died, and we don't know why it happened. So it's like, again, it's like me trying to make the most of everything, because it was like a big, that could have ended it and there wouldn't have been that many stories. Whereas now it's like, I want to be able to go out, enjoy my life at the same time, but also be like extra careful, because I'm like, well, like that could have caused it, or that could have caused it, but we don't know. But it was absolutely manic, to say the least.
Just to use, how mental is that story?
Crazy, isn't it?
Yeah,
Really, like,
like,
one day could just be sat at your desk.
I remember the day I walked into work and I was in the classroom facing you.
Yeah.
And I remember just seeing the paramedics outside of your classroom door, and now you're like, what's going on here? And someone's like, yeah, like, Dan's like just been found on his desk. I'm like, what? Like, by this point, I only knew Dan for about 2 months. Something like that. Yeah, and you're just like, Dan, really? What? And then everyone finds out, like, what's happened, and it's just like, oh my God, am I ever going to see Dan again?
That was the thing, and it was scary for me, because, like, obviously, it was the fact of, it was 2 trips for me. So it was after when the paramedics talked to me that time, obviously I was complaining about headaches quite a bit, but they didn't think it was anything at that time. They've just thought, oh, you must have just passed out from stress or whatever. But then when we went the second time and they did the lumbar puncture, and that was the thing that just confirmed it all, that was the scariest thing for me, because one, I've never had a lumbar puncture, wouldn't recommend it to anyone because it does hurt, but it was scary. It was, and especially when they told me there was a 1 in 3 chance of something happening, and I was just like, you know, it was almost like a deer in headlights at that point. I froze, like I didn't know what to say to that person at the end of the day, because I was like, that I was nearly gone, like, and it was kind of scary to know that I was going to be gone.
Yeah.
As well.
What was times like when you was by yourself doing them? Because like you said, you had people coming around to support you, but not going to be there 24/7.
No, it was tough. Like, it was tough because, especially for who I am, in the sense of, I want to be there. I'm a people pleaser as well. It's like, I do want to make sure that everyone's okay in themselves and everything. But during those times when I was by myself, it was hard, because it was like you were trying to do stuff by yourself, and there were things that I couldn't do by myself, and I felt less of a person at the end of the day, because it was like you could say, for instance, like there was a time when I couldn't actually bend over to put my socks on, and those little things for me were like, I was hating myself, and I was really angry at myself as well at times, like, because, you know, if anyone was to go past, they'd probably think I was like going insane, like talking to myself, like saying, come on, Dan, like get your socks on, like you can get your socks on. And like my body was like, nah, it's not happening today. I'm just like, and I think that's when it was the battle of mind and body again, like where I was like trying to push myself, but like again, like the body was like saying, you need to take the time off, you need to rest. And for me, I was like, no, I can't, because there was, like, in my flat that I had, everything was in there, but it was all studio, so I could see everything. And it was like, I don't want this to be my mini world now. I know this is my safe place, and this is where I've got my Xbox and all my happy stuff. But I can hear Sefton Park just outside, and I can hear people laughing and having the time of their lives and everything. Or, you know, I've got flatmates who have got music blasting out at 2 a.m. in the morning, and they're having the best time ever, and there's me like going, I can't do any of that at the moment. So when I was able to go back into work for like even just for those half days, that was like amazing for me. Granted, like it was the most stressful 3 months when I was back in work at that time, but just being around people and talking to them, and it wasn't my voice I was hearing. It was everyone else was just a blessing that I can't ever thank enough people. So anyone who turned around and was like, "Oh, Dan, did you watch the footy last night, or did you watch the boxing or whatever?" That for me was like, oh my God, like I need this talk. I need this now for me, because if I don't, I'm just going to be hearing my own voice going, you couldn't even lift up the TV remote at one point in time, so don't be trying to tell them that you were able to try and watch the highlights of the footy or something. I'm going to say, like, I need to talk to someone. And fortunately, we've got a workforce that will talk like there's no tomorrow. And, you know, we have got people who have got those close friendships where you get people coming over to see your press bros and everything on those days, and you can't thank them enough for it, because those were the days where it's like, I'm going to have a really good day today because I get to see people and not just hear me go, come on, hurry up, pick yourself up. And that's what I needed.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it, that little things like that, like we were saying before about strangers, them little comments can make someone's day.
It's those things.
Them conversations.
It is. It's those little things, because those little things are like the things that make the big things happen. And like, you know, I could go into doing the Hobbit speech of it from Gandalf of like, you know, but it is true. It's like, it is the small kinds of love and kindness that keep the darkness at bay. It is those crucial moments at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. They're the things that help people, and I latch on to it like there's no tomorrow, because I believe in it. It's fundamentally true.
And that's why, like, every day you're always there, whether that's our colleagues, your friends that you have outside of work, or it's the kids that we work with. You're always like being that, literally like that beam of light for people. Little 2 minutes, not 2 minutes, like little 2-second conversation when you're walking past. Oh, mate, did you watch Star Wars? Did you watch The Mandalorian? Like that. But like then they'll go, oh my God, yeah. Like, yeah, I watched them all that, and then they'll get happy. You're gone. But that little moment there.
And I think for me, it's another reason why I wanted to be a teacher, because like obviously when you see those moments where, like I remember my old teachers, and like some of them wouldn't know what I was talking about, but if they knew what I was talking about, that would have made me 10 times better. They would have made me feel like, you know what, you're listening to me, you're getting it. So it's like, you know, as much as like I've had a few, like as you know, I've had a few of the stuff going, really, Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, Marvel, really, Dan, you sure? And I'm there going, yeah, because I know not only is it a passion of mine, it's something that I love, but if it helps me in my job at the end of the day where, you know, there's a kid who's really upset, really angry, but if I can turn around to him and go, well, what would we do in this situation? Which Avenger would you be? And they'd be like, oh, I'd be I feel like the Hulk at the moment. And you're like, right, okay, so what does the Hulk have to do to come back down? And those like moments, and like they'll look at you and go, you're an absolute idiot. Why would I'm not full of gamma radiation. I can't turn into the Hulk. And you're like, yeah, but we're now talking away from that subject that's made you upset. Let's talk that. So as I say, anyone who turns around and it's like, you know, they have like the little thing of like, well, really, all this nerdy stuff. And I'm like, yeah, it's making me a better teacher at the end of the day, because I need this information because it helps them as well. So
and I think literally, sorry Joe, I think like literally about 60% of our kids in there as well. So that's why. Which
makes me so much happier in my job at the end of the day, because if it was only 5%, even if it was 5%, I would be so happy. But I'm glad it's such a high proportion, because then at least I know I've got that bank of knowledge to turn around and go, yeah, there's something here that I can latch onto and help you with.
Correct, Joe.
I was going to say, would you say it's made you have like a bit of like an epiphany? Do you know what I mean? So you like it's made you like more grateful for who you are now and what you've got around you, and it's made you a more positive person.
I think like I always tried to be a positive person, like no matter what. Like there was always part of me that was wanting to be a people pleaser, and I was always like a people pleaser. I always wanted to be, but I think you're right. Like when obviously the events that I've had in the last 5 years has helped me like realize, you know what, I want to try and do my best for people, because I enjoy doing that. I want to help people, and you know, my partner would probably be the first one to turn around and say, yeah, you help too many people at times, like you don't focus on yourself. And for me, my argument is, but me helping people helps me because I know I can help. I can offer them help, and it gives me that little boost of like serotonin that you need every day. If I know that I've been able to help a kid in crisis, or if I've been able to help a work colleague, or if I've been able to help a friend, for them to then they don't even have to say thanks for that or nice one. If I know that means that there's a difference in approach from them or a different conversation from them because they've had that little 2-second chat or hour-long chat or week support, like that for me is like, that's good for me because then I can turn around and say I've tried my best to help you. So for me, it is a ray of sunshine, like, you know, but epiphany wise, yeah, I'd say it makes me feel grateful that, like, you know, that it makes me want to push further to be like a better person as well, definitely.
You know what it sounds a bit like? Now, obviously, I don't know you from the last 5 years or the years before that, of course, but it sounds a bit like have you ever heard of like an ego death? Where like an ego death is kind of like where, say, something in your life could seriously happen and it makes you reevaluate your own sort of personality. So, like you were saying before, used to be like maybe a bit of a him, just focus on yourself, your mom, your fit. I was very much self-orientated around you. I'm not saying you were selfish.
No.
But I'm not even saying that that's ego. But when like a traumatic or a big thing happens in your life and you come out with the other side of that, you have these epiphanies. You have these like gratefulness where you want to improve other people's lives because that kind of makes you feel a bit better. That's like I don't know if that's the proper term, but like I'll probably swing this into a bit of a different conversation. Like so like psychedelics. Right? So like
it's like a part of the conversation.
so people who have had like psilocybin, which is like magic mushrooms and other natural medicines, have these kind of experiences.
I mean, like, I wouldn't know personally from the psychedelic point of view, but like Amsterdam's always fun. But for me, like, it is more just like, for me, like, seeing everyone like just happy is like my type of like, this is actually a really good night. So like, me and Louis were at an event recently, and the amount of joy that was in that room was amazing. And for me, I absolutely love that type of atmosphere where everyone just loves being there. And like now, and you know, yeah, you're right. Of like, you know, a few years ago, like I was just very happy turning around to people and saying, listen, I've got me TV, I've got me Xbox, I'm good. I don't need to. No one needs me to be there, type of thing. But
that's what I mean by like you've changed. You transitioned into like another. Go on, carry on.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. It's like I have like if I was to look at myself like 5 years ago, 6 years ago, I am a completely different person in that sense because I like to think I'm more outgoing. I'm in a much better headspace now, a lot better. I've got an amazing partner, and she, you know, supports me through thick and thin, even the times of when I annoy her to hell. Like, she is the brains and beauty. I just bring the comedy effect. I always say that in a relationship. But, like, she will help me, like, no matter what. And so, like, even though I was to compare, like, just 5 years, 6 years, like, I can see that I am a better person from it. And I think that links in with more of, you know, everything that we've talked about of like, you know, you could have like these horrid moments, but I think sometimes people don't even need those horrid moments. Sometimes they just need that little nudge to say, why don't you try doing something different or try this? Not saying that you have to love it. Don't have to say that you need to do it. Just have a go of it. Like, what's the worst that could happen? Try something new.
Like sport or activity or...
Sport, activity, even you've never spoken to that person, go and have a conversation with that person.
Yeah.
You never know what could happen from that conversation. Take it when you can, because you don't know what will happen the very next day. And I think for people who have had these moments, like where they have had a bit of a fear of God in them, it is important that they tell other people and say, listen, don't wait for those moments of, you know, to have those experiences. We've had those experiences. Let's just tell you now, it's not what it's all worth to be. Just take the opportunity now where we've had the experience and being able to pass it on to you and say, listen, just enjoy it. Just enjoy the life, you know. Just take that moment every time.
Don't take it too seriously.
No, don't.
Would you say you've become a religious person?
I wouldn't say I'm a religious person as such.
Have you opened your eyes to it?
I feel like I say I'm not a religious person, but when I had the subarachnoid hemorrhage, and they said there was a 1 in 3 chance, part of me was kind of going, Tom, you had a hand in helping me there.
Yeah.
Like, because I was just like, there is not, like, you know, and
Higher power.
there must have been something happening
Looking over you.
because someone was clearly on my side at that day, and, you know, and I wouldn't say that makes me religious, and it doesn't make me have anything. I think that just shows the love that you have for a human at the end of the day, and like any person that where you have like that type of love and connection with a person, you know that they're there like through thick and thin.
You can feel the energy.
Yeah, and I think so. I wouldn't say it makes me religious. I think it just makes me just more aware of my surroundings, type thing. You know, as I say, it again when they told me, I was just like, someone's clearly helping me here, and my first thought was, it was Tom. Like Tom was helping me at that time, and that was the thing for me.
So, I was going to ask you, so like, have you ever gone to church ever since that's all happened?
No, like I used to be.
Choir boy.
Oh yeah, I used to have the voice of an angel. No, I don't. That's why.
Got the face of an angel, haven't you?
Don't attempt to get. Like I used to go to church before I went to uni and everything, and you know, my family's Christian, and you know. And it's like, you know, I still like to believe there is a heaven and a hell and everything. Like, you know, everyone wants to believe that, like, you know, if there's a better place, you know, and everything. I wouldn't say that I'm full on, like, practicing and, you know, I've probably done enough sins to rack them up type thing. But, like, for me, I would say, yeah, I've, you know, again, it's just more just being positive. If you're just being a good person and, like, you know, don't be horrible to people at the end of the day. You know, yeah, you get those moments where you want to be angry, you want to be selfish, you want to be mean to people, and, you know, they're the easy way to be. Like, you know, it's like, you know, if someone insults you, it's easy just to have the quip back. And I'm not going to say that I'm sit here and say, oh, I'm a complete saint. I'm definitely not. Like, you know, if anyone made a quip to me, I'm quite quick at quipping them back. Like, but you know, I always believe that, like, if you just try to be a good person at the end of the day, like, you know, it's more karma, if anything. Yeah. I think if you're just being good to someone, like, hopefully karma will come back to you.
What goes around comes around, kind of thing.
Absolutely. I think that's the crucial part of it. Like, so I wouldn't say religious. I'd say just more like, just be a genuine good person.
Just made you probably a bit more of an aware person.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd probably agree with that, yeah.
Because, like, without going too far or deep, like, when you lose people along, like, just maybe in life, it kind of maybe does make you think that you never know what's around the corner.
No.
And you do take them opportunities a lot faster.
Yeah.
And you want to go at a faster pace because you never know.
Because I think for me, like, and that's when I say, like, those people who've had those experiences, you want to be there to tell people, like, listen, we've had those experiences. Yes, let's get opened our eyes, but let's open your eyes so that you don't have to go through those experiences to accept it. We've learned the hard way, so we've taken the spiral road. Let's just pass you over to where the straight and narrow road is, so that you. There we go. Just take this advice, and your life will be, and you know, you'll have a better life in my eyes. Because again, it's just be nice to people. Like, it always baffles me when you hear about people like, oh, they were horrible to such and such a person, or, you know, they're in X, Y, and Z type situations, and you just think, what happened to just generally just talking to people and just saying, like, you know, actually, I don't agree with your views. All right, okay, can we still have a laugh? Can we agree on at least one thing? Yeah. So it's like, you know, unfortunately, Louis taking the Lord of the Rings stance and I'm taking the Star Wars stance. Am I going to hold it against Louis for the rest of his life? Probably so. I'm not going to say I'm not a saint at the end of the day, but it's that type of thing of like where you've got to find. There's got to be some middle ground because we're all human at the end of the day. There's not one, and not to get too political, but there's not one side at the end of the day. There's always got to be a middle ground where we all go and actually, yeah, let's just follow that path rather than being pro or against or whatever. Just be nice to each other, be kind, be human, yeah. So it was like restore faith in humanity videos that I see on TikTok. It's those types of things that you want to see and be like, you know what? Why can't we have more like that? Why do we have to wait for the next restore faith in humanity video? Why can't it be every day?
Well, it sounds like you're setting that path that you mean. You're being your own Tom. You've opened your own eyes to that. So maybe that's a message that you're giving off now.
Well, I hope so. And again, if anyone comments on it and says, actually, yeah, I think everyone, like, you've been a Tom at this point, or you've helped to the end again, I'll probably be a puddle at the end of the day, because again, it would just be so big. But yeah, it's one of those I'd want it to be where everyone just gets along. I think we've gone past such a horrid time, especially recently with the pandemic, you know, the cost of living. Everyone's going through hell. Why would it hurt if we just turned around and we just tried to just be good to each other? Like, you know, we're all in the same country, we're all living here. Why can't we just help each other out at the end of the day? It's not.
That comes down to, like, this is now going to go from like a mental health podcast and a psychology one, but there's so much psychology beyond that.
It is.
It's people have got different start points, people have had different upbringings, people have had different mentors in life, different parents to learn from, friendship groups.
And that's the thing. And as I say, it's heartbreaking because you think, like, at the end of the day, if everyone had a similar upbringing, or if they all had similar, like, ways of saying, you know what, let's just talk, because some people, as you say, some people have just been told our way is the right way. I'm not going to say if it is or not, but they've not been able to have that awareness and their eyes opening on that front, where they've been able to say, actually, no, I'm an open book. Let's see what are your views, and I'll see if I agree with them or not. And I think that's, again, it's like, it's that barrier, and it just needs to keep on, like, trying to break that barrier down of, like, let's just talk. Like, and I think that's the key thing at the end of the day, is just talk to people.
It's such a simple way to go about it as well, isn't it? But so many people don't know how to just talk.
No.
And don't know how to just sit down and just have a conversation and sit there and listen to someone else's views and go, I understand where you're coming from. This is what I think. But I don't completely agree with that, but I respect your opinion.
And I think that's the thing as well. It's that ending part of the conversation where you can turn around and go, yeah, both got opposing views. What? Okay, that's fine. We're human. Like, you know, I'm not going to like everything that you like. I'm not going to like what the next door neighbour likes, you know. But I can still respect their decision and go, okay, fair enough. I can see your valid points. Can we still work this? Can we work around this and everything? And there's always got to be a way of being able to turn around to someone and go, there will be a solution for this. It can be a peaceful one, and it can be a one where we both still respect each other type thing. Yeah. But break the barriers.
That is it. Before we move on to the next topic, have you got any questions to add on to that?
I'm good.
All right. Yeah, because I feel like we've been running for about, what, 120, 115?
114.
114. Okay, that's a good hour and 15 of, like, serious conversation. I've crossed off the ones that, like, the serious. If anyone's still watching or listening, do you want to get into the nerd stuff now?
Absolutely.
End it on a high note.
Absolutely.
All stuff like that. Are you sure you don't have any more questions, Joe?
No.
No?
Tomorrow. I'm a bit of a nerdy geek.
Oh, there we go.
So, we've got two more topics what you want to talk about. One is men opening up about their interests.
Yep.
And the other one is gaming for mental health escapism. What one do you want to go with first, though?
Should we talk about men opening up to their interests?
Yeah, okay. So, why did you want to talk about that?
I think, for me, it's being able to open up about it because recently I was, like, looking through, like, social media and everything, and there were almost, like, trends that everyone was like trying to follow on like social media with like certain men's interests and everything, and not knocking any of the interest down, but it felt like there was a lot of interest where almost like they were trying to say, you'll really like this interest and that's the only interest you're going to like. You won't be, and it was almost like you were part of a group rather than being the individual in the situation. So like, you know, and there was even like this one about like icks that men have, and like a girl apparently said on the thing, when a man shows his interests to her, and it was like, have you ever dated someone, like dated a man? Like he will talk about his interests, but it's like men should be able to talk about their interests, even if they are the most absurd interests as well. So like, I know someone who loves stamp collecting. They are fully invested into it, and they will collect like there's no tomorrow, but they always get really shy about telling people about it, because they think it's like, oh well, no one's gonna like hearing about me collecting stamps. Or, you know, I've got another friend who has a massive sword collection, and they love talking about it. But like, again, they're two different collectors, but yet one was like so happy about sharing that knowledge, but then the other one was like, well, I don't want to talk about it. And I think more people need to be aware that, like, you know, it doesn't matter what you like, just be able to tell people that this is something you like, because if you love something and you're passionate about it, tell everyone about it. Like, you know, I as I say, I'm very avid in my being a nerd and being openly about it and saying, I love doing that. I love reading the books. I love doing, like, you know, when I was given my first sword at the end of the day, I was like a giddy child at the end of the day, just waving this Aragorn sword around going, I've got a sword type thing. But I know there's people in the world who like turn around and go, I can't tell people about that because people are going to judge me and they're going to think, oh, you're a bit weird and everything. And I think embrace the weird at the end of the day. Like, tell people that you love that type of stuff. Tell people that, you know, you scroll through TikTok and you see like a funny video and you're going to share it to your friends. You're not going to be embarrassed to show them it because you find it really funny. It's all and again, I think it just links to, like, you know, just be yourself at the end of the day. Don't let anyone like turn around and say, well, I don't like you talking about Star Wars. All right, well, there's the door. Like, I'm going to talk about it because it's one of the things that makes me happy. And as I say, it's like you want to be with you want to be around people who can support it. And as I say, when I was looking through like social media and they were like saying like, oh, follow this trend of like, you know, just going to the gym 7 days a week, and or like, oh, we're gonna talk about non-stop football. And it's like, I do like watching my football, but I'm not a full avid viewer of it. So like, obviously I love listening to, like, you know, when I go into like a staff room or thing and I hear everyone talking about the football, I will chime in every so often and go, oh yeah, does anyone still know the offside rule? Can anyone explain that to me? But like, I also love it when I hear people having their arguments about, like, when we've been in the staff room and we're talking like non-stop about nerdy stuff, and I see the staff members looking at us going, what are they talking about? Like, what are they talking about? And it's like, I just know that we're having an amazing conversation at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. So I think for me, it's like the main message on that one was just being able to talk to people about it and finding those people who will have that interest in it as well, so that you can still have your passions at the end of the day. Because if you don't have your passions, then, you know, you're going to end up being a hermit. You don't want to go out. You don't want to tell people about it. You'll just want to stick to yourself, and that's not a healthy thing to do. You need to be out there and being able to make new friends at the end of the day.
It's a part of your personality that you don't share with people, isn't it? Because it literally is. It does become a part of your personality. Whether it's an addictive part or not, it's still what makes you you.
And I think that, and that's crucial, that you need to have that, like, happiness at the end of the day. You need to be able to express yourself to them. And if you're self-conscious about your passion, then you need to be with people who don't make you feel self-conscious about it, because you're just going to be ending up in a spiral and you won't be you at the end of the day. You won't want to talk about what makes you happy and what makes you laugh. You'll just say, I know that the group will laugh at this because the group really enjoy it, or I know the group like to drink this, so I'm going to just drink it even though I think it tastes horrible. You know, those types of things, it's being able to be yourself at the end of the day, and I think for men in particular, being able to talk about your interests where it's not the man thing, like, you know, it's not, you know, me talking about, I don't know, like one of my nerds type thing. It's not like you wouldn't think, oh, it's a lad type thing, but I'd rather talk about that than try to like say, oh no, I'm not going to talk about that because no one's going to understand it or get it. If anything, it just opens the door for them to be like, oh, well, that sounds interesting. So.
What's one interest that you two both have?
I love a bit of like all Marvel spy. Like, who was your or still is your favourite superhero character of all of them?
See, mine changes all the time with this.
I've got one. It's always been one. But go on, I want to hear yours first. There's a reason.
It's down to. Can I have two?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Can I have two?
Yeah, go on, we get later.
So I'll have Batman.
Batman hasn't got a superpower, but go on. As a superhero.
Yet he could defeat
Good
the
start.
entire Justice League on it, couldn't he? He could defeat the entire Justice League if he wanted to.
Yeah, the powerful brain, but yeah.
Now I was gonna say Iron Man, but now that's
He hasn't got a superhero either.
super intelligence. No,
super money.
Yeah, super rich. If it was gonna be one that has got a power, I'd have to say Wolverine.
Yeah.
Then.
Wolverine's a good one.
Yeah.
Like
taking heads off with them, aren't you?
I mean, but then like, which power would you have? Would you have Wolverine's power of super healing, or would you have the adamantium claws?
Oh, see, I thought you had just the claws.
Oh no, he's got
the healing.
You have to have healing.
Hold on. Are we saying our favourite superhero / villain for their powers?
As long as we've got a power.
Okay.
You can't just be some black penguin of Batman.
Are we saying like what our favourite power is or what our favourite character is?
Give me a character and why that power is. Do you know what I mean?
So if I have to give you a power, might be Scarlet Witch. Just because she's so OP. Who's that? Wanda? From Marvel, from the Avengers.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the one with Vision.
Yeah.
She's with a robot and it's weird.
Yeah.
But she's just OP, so like mine is her and Magneto.
No, Magneto.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Like they're mine too, but if you had to say like my favourite
superhero
character or superhero, that'd be Spider-Man.
See, I think
Spider-Man.
running up climbing walls.
Yeah.
Imagine just being able to shoot things from your. Do you know what I mean?
I love the sound effect.
For anyone that can't see
watch
it.
Yeah, so I just think being able to have all them spidey senses and Spider-Man's got to be the sickest superhero out of them all.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's so many Spider-Men as well. It's like you've got Peter Parker.
Oh, the original.
Like Peter Parker. See, I'd say Miles Morales then, because he's got like the electric powers as well.
Oh, Venom.
And there's Venom as well.
Venom shocking, that, yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah.
What about Superman though? What do we like? Fly super fast and have X-ray vision and stuff.
Yeah, he's too OP.
What's OP mean?
Overpowered.
Oh, see that? It's like what the...
I was thinking sick the nerdiness.
The nerd lingo.
No, it's so yeah, I'd agree. Like Superman's far too overpowered. Like, you know, the fact of like there was a time of when he could just fly around the world super fast and it would make him go back in time.
I was gonna say the world would go back in time, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and it was like. What? It was like any consequence didn't have a major thing because it would be like, oh, I'll just go back in time and stop that from happening. Like, whereas, you know.
Well, what about the fight between Batman and Superman? Should Superman have won that?
No. Batman was good.
He used his kryptonite, didn't he?
Yeah.
He used all
Batman, and this is why I like Batman is the fact of he was the underdog.
Yeah.
Like everyone was thinking, oh yeah, Batman's just gonna get battered, and yet nearly every adaptation in comics, films, Batman comes on top because he is just literally like, he does his research, he maps out everything. So like for me, it's like.
Does his research, he sat there on Google. How do we do Batman? ChatGPT.
Google Maps.
You can tell the directors were like, we'll delete that scene off like, you know, the main film and everything. We'll show him just working out with a tire and everything, and that'll show that he's really prepared for it. But no, it's like he'd do the work, whereas Superman, he kind of just is there and he just goes,
done,
and he just like pushes you aside, and then it's like, oh, someone died, go back in time and we'll sort this out.
Okay, while we're on the conversation then, we could do this for hours and hours and hours, and I love this talk. Who's your most underrated hero or villain? It doesn't have to be just because of their power, just them.
Flash.
Flash.
Flash. Definitely.
Well, Flash could probably beat anyone. Like, if
Maybe
you go
not
into the
Superman.
comics. Which?
Maybe not Superman.
No, he could beat Superman, like, from the comics, but obviously it then goes down to what comic, what edition, what volume, stuff like that. But there will be a point where he could beat Superman.
I'd probably have to Google some super, because to me they're all just main ones. That are a bit like,
I'd say-
I couldn't really think of.
Oh, I'd probably say Martian Manhunter.
Martian Manhunter. I was going to say Cyborg.
Cyborg as well. Like, I'd say Martian Manhunter for me because, like, he could go toe to toe with, like, you know, Superman. He's got, like, the mind reading abilities and everything, and, you know, granted his weakness is like every human's weakness of fire. Yeah, so like he's not like, but like he's like obviously still like new to the game and everything. Like even like he's on a different planet and everything, and yet he's able to adapt himself to a different planet and still be able to go toe to toe with a lot of the superheroes at the end of the day. And I think also he can shapeshift, so like it's a win-win.
What
It's like,
about Dr. Manhattan? Like,
I love him.
off
Watchmen, oh.
Yeah.
I think he's OP.
I think he's a bit OP
Yeah.
as well.
It's like I remember seeing the film, and I mean, graphic is like the best way to describe Watchmen. But I think that the scene where he's like in Mars and he's like, "Oh, I'm just gonna build a new civilization and everything."
Yeah.
It's like,
He's like a god,
oh,
isn't he?
yeah. And it's like, oh, you're just gonna build a civilization out of scratch, and he's just there going, "Yep, there we go, there it is." And it's like, oh, it's that easy.
What superhero or super villain then? I know people watching and listening to this, and probably only like 10 people left. I was like, fucking go on, lad, ask it. Got done dirty. Like,
Ooh.
they got proper knocked down a few pegs.
You
Like,
mean
sure.
by the films?
Yeah, sorry, yeah, by the films.
Lex Luthor.
Lex Luthor.
Yeah. Like, if you look at him in the comics where he's got, like, his full-on armor, he's got his kryptonite blasts and everything, like, you know, he's built the suit and everything, to the way that they portrayed him in the films where it's just, I'm a businessman, and, oh no, you've, like, you know, it's like, for me, it's like, he was so, he had the potential of, like, you know, going, again, toe-to-toe with Superman at those times of when he's got his kryptonite suit or something, and they've just went in the direction of, no, you're just like a evil Jeff Bezos at the end of the day, and
A rich knobhead.
and that's all you are, just an evil version of Jeff Bezos, and that is, so he got done dirty, I think. What about you?
Mine's either Thor or Hulk. Like, I feel like Thor was decent in Avengers 1, Avengers 2, and then Infinity War, he got Stormbreaker, and like he just absolutely had Thanos off, but then hit him in the head. And then I know what they tried to do with Endgame, where they tried to like make it more like he's been vulnerable and he's let himself go, and now he's going to come back. But yeah, Thor for what he was, Thor's a god. He should be able to wipe anyone's ass. And just Hulk, because everyone knows what happened to Hulk.
What
Yeah.
happened?
Haven't you seen the film?
So I'm into me superhero films, Marvel films and stuff, but I don't know. Maybe just
So
yeah.
in,
I'm not.
2000, in 2000,
I'm just not into it. Stop chatting shit.
In 2004's The Incredible Hulk, it wasn't Eric Bana, who was the other one that played him.
Oh, it wasn't
topic,
Ruffalo,
please.
it was,
It went Ruffalo and it went Eric Bana.
I can't remember who was the
Ed
other one.
Norton.
Norton.
Ed Norton's Hulk 2004, he fights Abomination, and basically that is Hulk and like full force and on screen. And to put it into perspective, he uses 2 cars as boxing gloves and he starts just whacking Abomination.
Yeah, I think I remember this film.
It's quite fun actually.
Yeah,
But then obviously
I do
they
remember
bring it, Ruffalo's one in 2011, no 2012 Avengers.
Yeah.
He's Hulk smash, he will just rage through anything.
yeah.
Not Infinity War, Age of Ultron, he's still absolute badass. But then Infinity War happens after Ragnarok.
He gets punched in the throat by Thanos, and then that was it. He was done.
Yeah.
He just goes, and it's like, oh,
Yeah, and then
He's
he just,
down.
just gets off, and then they do like this whole Bruce Banner mixes into the Hulk, and he brings them both together, and it's just like, oh,
Professor Hulk.
yeah.
So if I was gonna watch, maybe like say like what like, I wouldn't say what order, but what would you say, like, your top superhero films or that? Like, I want to go home now, go and have a little... go home, watch a film and that. What should I watch?
I'd say, like, the Iron Man trilogy for me, I enjoyed the Iron Man trilogy because, like, that's, like, your original, like, that was, like, one of the first... Actually, that was the starting point. The first Iron Man was, like, the start of the Phase 1 of the Marvel initiative. Because that was the first time when everyone realised we need to stay at the end of the credits to see what's going to happen next, because that was when...
I remember that,
Because then that was when you saw Nick Fury for the first time as Samuel L. Jackson, and everyone's going absolutely mental for that. And then it's like when he says, I want to talk to you about the Avengers initiative, and you're like, oh wow, this is... So then it was like every Marvel film after that, every time I went to the cinema, it was... We are waiting 10 minutes if we have to see this end credit type thing. We need to see what's going on.
Yeah.
And so, like, for me, I'd say if you were going to watch something, like, it'd be start with the Iron Man, like, 1, 2, and 3, because they're just phenomenal, I think, in my eyes.
Oh, jeez.
You could just watch the MCU in chronological order.
MCU?
Yeah, that's just the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yep.
It has taken a dip, and I haven't watched all of the new stuff, because I know how bad it is, but it's worth. But if you had to recommend one superhero / supervillain film, like, to save your life kind of thing, what one would you choose? Give me one that's, like, top tier that a lot of people go for, and give me one that's underrated.
I'd say the one that was underrated, but because of the fans, it was amazing. The Snyderverse Batman v Superman.
You should say Snoop Dogg.
Snoop Dogg, yeah. Batman v Snoop Dogg, that would be an awesome film to watch as well. But
saves Gotham City with a big... chills everyone out.
Yeah. Just be chill, guys. Just be chill. I'd say the Snyderverse one, and because there was the one that was released in the cinemas, the Batman v Superman, and that was one that no one really liked. It was like, it was just but the when they brought the Justice League Snyderverse film out, that was actually phenomenal. Like, it was like one of the times where it's like, actually DC have done a little bit better than Marvel on this front. So I'd say that one's a good underrated one in my eyes, and then one which everyone loves, Thor Ragnarok. Like, I think not once it's got the comedy, it's got the action, and for me it's just low key as well. It's just top quality.
Yeah, I watched the cut twice in 2 days. It's 4 hours long as well. Just to put that into perspective. Just sat there and just watched it. Go on, Joe, have you got anyone better?
So, I'm not like a massive... I couldn't tell you, in depth as what you could. But maybe it's because of nostalgia reasons. I love the original Spider-Man where it's like he fights Venom. I don't know why it reminds me of
Spider-Man 3?
Yeah, that film
Proper
is
Tobey Maguire
sick.
dancing in his black suit and everything.
Like, sick though. I feel like the one with the Green Goblin's good. But then the one where he fights Venom, like, that to me is just the one of the sickest superhero films ever.
He's got Sandman's head against the train.
Because he's fighting, like, is it 2 or 3 villains all at the same time?
Yeah, because he's versing Sandman. He's obviously got
Venom, Sandman, and
it was meant to be because he's got his mate Goblin, Green Goblin.
I'm onto it.
Doing better than me at that point. I was like,
I'm like, Harry's the Green Goblin, isn't he? And Harry's helped him.
Harry's helped him. So at first he's the villain, but then he turns back into and he sacrifices. And but yeah.
I think there's so many maybe plot, not kind of twists, but like there's so much going on. As a kid, that just stands out to me.
Oh yeah,
that's the best.
What about you, Dex?
My most underrated one's probably Watchmen.
Every time I hear that film, I think of him. Sorry.
I just feel like it doesn't get enough recognition that it deserves. It's a bit of a spin-off from different superhero films because it's a lot darker. And it shows like a darker side to these so-called superheroes, but it's what I like about it as well. The story's really, don't know, it's quite intense, isn't it?
Yeah.
What would you say is like a standout film that to save your life?
Superhero film that would save me life. I'd probably have to say Dark Knight.
Waiting for someone to say that.
Yeah, sick.
Waiting for it.
It's just
What are we saying on yours, Lou?
Underrated. I would say the Batman 2022, just because the Dark Knight overshadows it. But it's a Batman film. I prefer Batman 2022 than the Dark Knight, just because he's more like a detective. Well, he is. He's more detective in it, and it's not like big guns blazing, big explosions and all that. So I really like that. And Want to Save Me Life, Captain America: The Winter Soldier, probably.
That's a good one, actually.
Yeah,
That's a really good film. Like the fighting and that's so
Are
good.
these all on Disney?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The whole bunch.
Someone gives her a Disney login so I can go home and watch it. I'm not paying £10 a month. Crazy. If anyone's got any login details that I can use, then feel free to comment.
Oh my god. Well, I feel like that was our interest, so I'm not going to lie, to say the least.
Absolutely.
Do you want to talk about gaming, or do you want to...
It's entirely up to you.
Yeah.
Like,
Is anyone got anywhere to be? It's a bit more content, not the 10-15 minutes. Well, what type of gaming do we do?
basically, so if like my interest is like you've got your Call of Duties, you've got your obviously the newest game I'm playing at the moment, Baldur's Gate 3, which why don't you like it?
Because we've got Game of the Year.
Yeah.
No, so I won't judge it. Go on.
Well, it's like the God of War series as well. Did you like the God of War series?
Absolutely fantastic.
That got Game of the Year.
Yeah, and all but Baldur's
But
Gate.
that's so what's the difference?
Spider-Man 2 came out this year. Yeah.
No,
But yeah, but why is gaming such an escape for yourself, but also for loads of people?
I think for me, it is the fact of I can literally have the most stressful day, either in work or whenever, and I know I can just sit down for an hour or two and not be having that stress.
Not being that well, but being that well.
Yeah, so, best one that I always did was like when you're in Skyrim, like, that was one of my favourite games, where you literally just be able to go, you know what, I'm not focusing on that task right now. That task is going to stress me out. Instead, I'm just going to try and kill this dragon instead, and that will make me feel so much better. And it was also like the accomplishment as well. Like, it was something that, I've managed to complete this level, or it's like I've managed to do this. It was like that little, again, boost of serotonin of like, ooh, I've managed to do this, I've managed to complete it. And it's like, I'm that type of person as well. It's like when I see that achievement score as well, you just hear me under my breath go, yeah, go ahead, Dan. Go ahead. Get that achievement. But, like, there was, like, little moments, again, when you get that little win or something. Like, so, again, it's like I like those ones where it's complete... Not, like... Because I'm not a fan of, like, the Grand Theft Auto, I've got to say, personally. It's far too, like, you're in a city, get to drive a car. Well, you can do that in real life. In real life, I can't be a Jedi, and I can't, like, go around, like, slaying dragons and everything. And I mean, if there was a combination of the Jedi and the dragon slaying on the same type of game, I'd be like, you wouldn't see me in work for at least a day or so, because I'd be so happy. But, like, for me, it's like anyone who's able to have that, like, break at the end of the day, and they just think they just need an hour just to shut down, not engage with loads of people. They can just sit down and just for an hour. Obviously, don't do the intense gaming of like 12-hour, 6-hour things, because again, that's going into a different path. But having that hour where you can turn around and go, yeah, actually, I'm going to enjoy this, or having a game of FIFA or something like that, it's always just nice to have like that type of chill. And granted, I've heard people say like, that it's their type of therapy, and then they're screaming down the mic, every type of insult they can think of to the other person. But then I feel like they feel 100 times better after it. They feel like, I've had my vent now, I'm good now.
It's funny that you say that, because if you've ever played FIFA Rage, it's just different. It is just different, and I can't explain it. I've played FIFA majority of my life, still play it to this day. It's just one of them comfort games. I can just go on. I don't have to like really get into it and all. I can just start, play a couple of games, get off.
How many pads have you smashed now this year?
25. Yeah. I'm not counting that. But like when I had my PS3 and PS4, the amount of pads I did break was unbelievable.
And you had to learn how to fix them.
I might have said this before in the past. I had to teach myself how to fix my pads. I've broke tellies. I remember once I was in the spare room as they call it now in my mum's house, but it was my room at the time, and I threw a pad at the telly. So it was at the end of my bed, conceded the goal, oh Dad, what bullshit, threw my pad, hit the telly in the middle, and telly like just broke. And now you're like, like, I've already broke my phone this year, I've already broke my pads, I've already snapped my laptop, I can't have another thing break. So what I've done, I turned off the PlayStation, got me telly, and because there was like a wooden thing in front of it, I put it down, so like it looks like it fell and cracked.
Your mum and dad are going to watch this back and go.
My dad already knows about it.
Now they know.
It's confession time.
To make it look like it fell and just broke. And I just went out the ocean and then came back a few hours later and I was like, what's happened to me telly? Oh, what the I think I got away with it. I'm sure I got a new telly, but I had to come clean like a couple of years later over it. It's just like the guilt was just eating me.
I think the one time that I've ever done like rage quitting is when I was playing Elden Ring, and it was like literally I remember just getting it for the first time. I heard loads of people say, "Oh, yeah, the bosses are like really hard. Like, you know, it's a real challenging game." And I just thought, "Oh, yeah, it'll be a good laugh though." See. And I remember I walked out of the thing and I was dying every time for like the first 10 minutes. And it was like every time I just walked through and it'd be like, you're dead, you're dead, you're dead. And I was there going, it's okay, maybe there's a different one. No, you're dead. And it's like, and I literally, it was just one point, I literally, when you're holding the gamepad and you start like pulling your hands like, and you're almost trying to split it in two. And I just remember one time, I just remember hearing it and I was like, no, let's not. This is my only gamepad. I haven't got the money to buy another gamepad. Let's just hold together now, please. But I could see myself like holding it more. Like it was going to be indents in my gamepad of like you're crushing the port. It's going to be like the Game of Thrones scene where he's crushing the skull, and it's just be me just going like that. But yeah, Elden Ring for me was like I completed it in the end, and I was so happy with myself, and I was like almost like jumping for joy, and I uninstalled it so fast, like to say I am done with you now, I've finished you. But at the same time, I was like, that was the closest I ever got to like destroying stuff, because I feel like I would have destroyed a lot more stuff if I didn't stop. It's
only gamers that can actually relate to. That's our therapy.
Yeah.
That's my escape from the world of my problems. I'm just going to go there and relieve some stress. And before you know, you broke a pad, broke a telly, you think, I feel good now.
Yeah.
I'm happy.
I'm happy.
Yeah.
My bank account's not happy, but I'm happy.
Yeah. And other people must be looking at you like, who don't games, like, what are you doing with your life? Like,
yeah.
Are you okay?
Well, did
like,
you see?
I'm great.
Well, did you see that story about the 13-year-old kid who completed Tetris? He actually broke Tetris. He got 999,999, and it was basically the game crashed because it wasn't meant to go past that score, and you know, all the gaming community were like, good on you and everything, well done, I'm like, you know, fantastic. That's like, you know, it's been out for like over like 40 years and no one's been able to do that. Goes on to the news again, you think, oh, it's great, it's been on the news. What does the news anchor say? Maybe you should be going outside more often. It's not a life accomplishment. And I was just like, are you actually kidding me? Like, this is like a big deal for this 13-year-old kid, and you're shaming him for doing something that was like taking him so long to achieve. And I just thought, it's like you say, only gamers were like the gamers were the first one to be like, get her to apologize now for that, because it was just ridiculous of like just saying, oh, well, that's not a life accomplishment. Okay, you beat Tetris then and beat that high score and everything. So like for me, it's when you hear those stories and like you hear like the gaming community actually coming together and like supporting people as well, which is brilliant.
It's mad the way that there is like such a big gaming community as well, and I love how much like divided it is as well.
I love the cons.
Like when people say to me, I've got an Xbox, I will snarl them. I will be like,
I
will
know.
look down on you.
I know. You've done it every day ever since I told you.
Yeah.
It's like every time you see me, you're like,
just right. But then again, Derek was selling his Xbox Series X the other week, and I was like, how much though? Like, I was thinking I could go back and play Halo and Gears of War and that, but then I realised I can get it on my laptop by streaming it.
Yeah, it's not the same though.
I know it's not the same, but it is what it is. One game, favourite game of all time?
I'd have to go for a classic Halo.
Halo
1.
Halo 1
I'd
combat.
go full on classic. If I was to go for proper nostalgia, because it was one of the first games I ever played on the Xbox as well, and it was like the first ever console that I bought as well with my own pocket money. and Halo was the first game, and I absolutely loved it. Like the story, the missions. I mean, the flood scene. Like the first time and I'm like still like that is still pure horror in my eyes even now. It's like it's fine, it's only a game, and there's me like the minute you hear that Halo flood music, and I'm like nope, don't like this, nope. But Halo classic.
You know, for anyone that doesn't know, the flood is not like the water rushing down, right? Yeah, and it's just taking you away. It's like an alien type thing.
Parasite type thing.
Parasite
isn't it?
that's gone into the army, that you're with the human army, and they've turned you basically into an area, and they call it the flood.
Yeah.
It's scary, I'm not gonna lie.
Yep.
Have you two got any games before? I'm not gonna lie, we'll wrap up in a sec, but I want to know what you say.
Have you got a favourite game?
My favourite game is probably the Division.
Really?
The Division, yeah, because
I love the Division.
it was probably the first game I've never really been much of a gamer, but that was the first game I remember playing and couldn't wait to get home and play it. And I couldn't wait to just play it, really. Wake up, first thing I'd do is play that game. And it was probably the first game I'd played where I'd spent a good few hundred hours on it as well.
So always those accomplishments though, it's like when you can say like you spent like hundreds of hours on something.
Yeah.
And you think like these types of games are like they're only meant to be like, 50 hours if that, but if you're able to like take that extra time and like again, it's like the amount of detail they put on those games, it's brilliant.
Yeah.
It is good. Have you got one?
I'm so basic, I'm literally just like standard. Give me any Call of Duty, I'm not even bothered which one.
Even the new one?
Yeah, I probably haven't even played the new one. So like
the best one, what
No.
the one
You
where
ain't missing much.
it had like jetpacks was a bit stupid. Like I don't know, that was a bit far fetched with Modern Warfare something probably. And then just standard FIFA and UFC. Like then 3 games, COD, FIFA and UFC. That's basically me, yeah.
Story games.
I know,
Story
that's
games
it.
are where it's at.
I've
Absolutely.
never really played a story game, ever got into a game.
I always remember, before we wrap up, I always remember my mates always saying when Call of Duty 4, so 2007, going into 2008, they were like always playing online and all that, and I always wanted to go around to his and go on his Xbox and play the campaign. And he was always like, lad, why are you doing all that? I just enjoy stories. And still to this day, it's story over multiplayer.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Can I ask one last thing before you go?
Go for it.
So apparently the new GTA 6, I don't know if you're just even interested in it, but apparently they're meant to be doing a thing now where it's kind of like you pay to play. So instead of buying the game and getting, like you said, hundreds of hours worth of gameplay, what they're trying to look at doing now is like a bit of a streaming thing. So like you pay for the X amount of hours that you play, and then forever then you're always going to be paying to play that game. That's where Rockstar are going to make more money.
I disagree with it. Like so,
It's a barrier.
That's worse than microtransactions. Like
I think and it's like
win kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I think at that point then it's like you're limiting your audience at the end of the day,
Definitely.
because say for instance, I don't know, if you subscribe to it for a month or something, and I don't know, it's like, it's only 20 quid a month or something, but then if loads of people join the subscription, then they might up it. And when that has happened in the past, it's like you look at the Disney Plus accounts, you look at the Netflix, the minute they were getting their subscriptions, they hiked up the price. Same with like AAA level games. The minute they knew that they were going to get the sales, they up the price. So like the cheapest Xbox One game, Xbox Series X game that I've seen so far is about maybe 50, 60 quid. Whereas their most expensive, you're looking at a good 150 or something, like the most expensive type game. And I think
Is that for 100?
I think it's like one of the it's like DLC, like where you get like packages and everything for it, but like
NBA games,
Crazy that.
like you can get like Michael Jordan editions and Kobe Bryant editions, and you can get like extra stuff. They are expensive.
and I think that takes away from the actual experience of gaming. Like as I say, I think you then just, you're not making a game for people to enjoy, you're just making a game for profit.
Yeah.
It's not, and it's not like so when you see like the gaming conventions and you're seeing all these people like have fun, well, you're not interested in that if you're just saying, well, I just want you to pay for this a week or month.
So, what about a bit of a counter argument? I've just thought. So, what if Rockstar turned around and said, well, look, we can give you a better gaming experience if if it's like, so for example, say GTA 5 was, say, £60 when it came out, then you never have to pay that £60 again, do you? You've got the game, you play it. 5-6 years down the line. When did GTA 5 come out? Like nearly 10 years ago.
10 years ago.
So for my argument's sake, you've paid you £50 for 10 years. The game, I don't know if the game got any better. What if they said, well, with GTA 6 in 5 years' time, because everyone's been paying this amount of money, we would have been able to make the game twice as big, twice as interesting, better character. Would that be? I don't know.
I think for me personally, it's like I'd rather get a full completed game, pay one-off payment for a full completed game, then that's it.
Yeah.
And like, the reason why I like Baldur's Gate in particular is like they're still updating it now to this day, like, and it's been out now for over a year, nearly a year, and yet there's like they're still putting updates on it. They're still adding new things to it, and it's all free.
Yeah.
Like there's not any hidden fees or anything. Cool. There's no like DLC. There's no get this payment, pay this now and receive a pet or something because the last year, like in gaming, like there was like some horrible like toys games. Like there was a Lord of the Rings Gollum game that came out, and that was dire.
Awful.
But like they would charge in as well. Like they said, oh, for an extra £5, you can get the elves to speak Elvish.
What?
For an extra £6, we can let you have Gollum have emotions on his face.
What?
And for an extra £5 on top of that, you could get to know the lore of Lord of the Rings.
Oh my
and it
God.
was like.
They're just rinsing people.
Like, why would you do... And, like, the gameplay of itself, I never bought it, fortunately, because I saw enough, like, gameplay reviews and everything, but one of the most dire games. So it's like, for me, it's like, if someone had just taken the time and effort and just, just make sure that it's a top-quality game, absolutely, I would have bought it. But when they're just trying to rush it and then they start saying, oh, well, we'll just add this DLC, we'll add this DLC, and it all adds up to, like, Gollum costing about £70 for a unplayable game in
with
my
emotions.
get Gollum to smile. Oh, that's cost you £2 to do that. It's like, why would you? Like,
Do you think it should be a little bit more like Fortnite, where it's just free to play and then you can buy your skins and stuff? Or
I mean, like,
I'm not a big gamer. So
I'm not like a full on like a Fortnite gamer as well. It's like we've got enough pupils that talk about Fortnite, and I'm just like, I can't do Fortnite dances for the life of me. So like when they say do floss, I'm like, no, but. For people, it might be that they like the skins and everything, but yeah, it just depends really of what your type of like choice in games. Like I'm with Louis on this point of like the story for me. If the story's good and there's like the voice acting's good, and it's like that everyone's taking the time and effort to make a decent story.
Detail and that,
then by all means, like I will happily pay for that, but don't ask me to pay for like the basic stuff at the end of the day, or it's like or. If Rockstar are going to go for this GTA 6 thing of paying subscription, if everyone does it, then everyone's just going to think it's the norm, and then we're going to have like a Disney Plus version of gaming where it's like you pay this amount and you get to play all of. Well, actually, we've got it now. It's the Xbox Marketplace Game Pass. You pay £10 and you've got all these games to play.
Yeah.
But who's to say that's not going to go up in price and then take it?
It's interesting, isn't it? I like the business side to it.
It is.
Well. We're not in control, but I'm still going to buy the next FIFA, even though it's going to be a load of bars. I'm going to buy the next one.
Absolutely.
And Jay Parry, I'm still better than on FIFA, lad, for 5 mil, Jen.
Well, does anyone have any more questions before we wrap up? No. Dan, got anything else?
No,
absolutely fine. And so, to wrap it up, thank you everyone that's watched today, that's listened today, and hope that you've really enjoyed it, from going down in the depths of a really good, passionate conversation to all the way up to the nerdiness and talking about films and gaming. It's been up, it's been down, and I've absolutely loved it. But just to go back through for anyone, if you do ever notice anyone that has got any of these symptoms, such as severe headache, unlike anything you've ever experienced before, a stiff neck, feeling and being sick, sensitivity to light, which in brackets is photophobia, blurred or double vision, stroke-like symptoms such as slurred speech and weakness on one side of the body, or a loss of consciousness or uncontrollable shaking, please do not keep them at home and try and rest them up. Please call 999 and get them the medical attention that they need. because they could be the 1 in 3 that might not get the lucky number that Dan was so fortunate to get. But the causes of them can be my laptop stopped moving. It can be smoking, high blood pressure, excessive alcohol consumption, and severe head injuries. So please be aware, please be safe out there, and we hope that you've enjoyed today's one. Thank you very much, and we will see you next time.
Lovely jubbly.
Lovely jubbly.
Yeah, you saw what I was saying.